The Blind Tony Story, Book 7, Chapter 5. I still lived in the parks, primarily, but I began to experiment with condominium cardboard boxes and also abandoned buildings. Hmm. Now that was quite an experience. Wow. I also began to get introduced to alternative hustles to supplement the picking up of bottles and cans. Sometimes we would buy a bottle of cheap liquor and drink most of it and then pour the rest into an expensive liquor bottle. And then we would go downtown to the tourist district, like around the 60s and 70s on Fifth Avenue. And then we would purposely bump into some foreign tourists and we would drop that bottle, breaking it. And at the same time, we would start fussing and arguing with each other over our loss. Usually the tourists would reach into their pockets and give us a couple of $20 bills and apologize. Wow, quick $20 a piece. Sometimes we would cut the barcodes off aluminum cans and then attach it to a piece of cardboard. And then we would go to a supermarket where they had recycling machines. And then we would insert that barcode over and over and over and over again into the scanner until you had the amount of money that you wanted. And then you would take the receipt to the cashier and redeem it for cash. Sometimes we would make an aluminum sleeve out of beer cans and then insert that sleeve into the token slot at the subway turnstile. And then we would just sit back and wait. The sleeves could hold at least 10 tokens. And as each customer put their token into that sleeve, they would complain to the clerk because the turnstile would no longer work. And then the clerk would wave them through the exit gate. The clerk would rarely open the doors of the token booth due to the threat of robbery and assault. After counting 10 customers, we would remove the sleeve and then sell the tokens for $10, which would represent a significant savings for the customers because the tokens were $1.50 a piece. And the whole thing would take less than 15 minutes from start to finish. A quick $10. I also met some people who were so skilled with a screwdriver that you would think that they had keys and could open any car in a matter of seconds. I would be the lookout. I also got introduced to the world of auto theft and how to strip cars for parts, which was also very lucrative. However, all of these hustles entailed risk, and I definitely saw more than my fair share of chases, gunshots, and confrontations. But I can honestly say that God was with me through it all, and I escaped unharmed every single time. Eventually, I entered a homeless shelter. Shelters were usually looked down on by homeless people because they were less than safe. They were hotbeds for criminal activity, and the weak were preyed on collectively by the rogue elements who banded together to take anything and everything they could, from cigarettes to anuses. There were many rapes, and a lot of people were forced into sexual slavery into the bathrooms. Blowjobs were pimped out in the bathrooms for about $5, and anything was possible for the right amount of drugs or money. There were rows and rows of cots placed 3 feet apart over an area as large as a football field. There were lockers against the walls, bathrooms and showers intermittently interspersed along the walls. There were a lot of shadows and dark places and corners and stairwells and balconies and hidden corridors. And all of these places were where accidents often occurred. I guess that's where most homeless people just stay on the streets. Each person would be issued a meal ticket, which was good for about 14 days, and it had to be punched every day when you entered the child line. The ticket also guaranteed you a cot each night as long as you reached the facility before 10 p.m. After that time, your bed was subject to be given away. You would also be assigned a case manager, a caseworker, who would try to assist you on getting your life back on track. They would also sign you up for food stamps and a small stipend, which you could pick up each month on a certain day at any check cashing spot authorized by the city. Now, this also gave me more money to get high with because food stamps could easily be sold for cash at 70 cents on a dollar. Life was good. And I supplemented my recycling and other hustles with playing the shelters. Eventually, I played every shelter in Manhattan. There's a group called Volunteers of America who would hand out sandwiches every day at Port Authority. They too had a shelter over on Ward's Island. And one day I decided I would check them out. Now, this shelter is accessible by vehicle by going across the bridge at 126th Street across the East River. But it is also accessible by foot across a bridge at 106th Street on the other side of the projects and Park Avenue by the East River. Now, this bridge is only open to foot traffic, and it closes every night at 10 p.m. And across this bridge, you have to walk a mile through the woods to get to the shelter. And that's a scary walk for real, because here there'll be monsters for real, groups of predators just waiting along that stretch, that mile stretch, waiting to take anything and everything that could possibly be took from anyone weak enough to get took. Once again, God was with me, because I walked that path every night just before the bridge would close at 10 p.m. And I never once felt any fear. I must have been crazy, stupid. I would stay alert and I would give them respect. But I guess people could sense that everything I had of value had been taken a long, long time ago. I died and Ravnisha and the kids left me. And I was just an empty shell. Anyway, there were several men at the Ward's Hour shelter who attended church services in the evening across the bridge around 7 p.m. each night. The church also served them dinner and gave out clothing and cosmetics, so I decided to go. The church was run by a lady named Mother Smith, and she had helped a lot of homeless people. A lot of people got their lives back on track with her help. There were a lot of inspiring testimonies from members who had been formerly members of that shelter. There were also a lot of beautiful single women there, all looking to rescue the lost men who just might prove to be their mate. I started attending regularly, and eventually I started playing the piano and organ in all the church services. I met a girl there named Jade, and we both fell in love. Mother Smith said it wasn't good for me, but I stopped getting high, and I started to live again. She was good for me. Jade and I spent every day together. She would feed me and encourage me and love me. She was a native New Yorker and a street fighter. She was darker than dark, bow-legged, and had a scar across her face where she had been slashed with a razor. Her mother was also a minister. She had a sister and a daughter. She had been married before, but she was now divorced. She had been addicted to crack cocaine, but she had given her life to God, and she was doing quite well. People said she used to be buck wild, but all I could see was love and kindness. Mother Smith said that we shouldn't fornicate. Well, we did. Every chance that we got, every night after church, she would walk me to that bridge, give me a sandwich that she had made for me earlier, and we would kiss goodnight. Sometimes we would make love outside, anywhere, anytime. Life was good. Jade encouraged me to do better with my life, and I enrolled in the RCA Business School. I took courses in advanced typing, how to use different office equipment, and they provided me with car fare and a modest stipend, and they also gave me the chance to return once again to the real workplace. After I graduated from RCA Business School, I enrolled in PSI, Programming Systems Institute. I had been turned down when I tried to enroll there before because I couldn't type 35 words a minute. But now, when I graduated from RCA, I could type. So I learned COBOL, RPG 2 and 3, C, plus. Also basic. I also got to learn octobinary math and hexadecimal math. In fact, I aced 2 of the tests, which my instructor said had never been done before. They too provided me with a modest stipend and car fare, lunch money. But since I had taken out a student loan to enroll in the classes, when I graduated, I was given $2,800 in cash. Now, this represented the balance of my student loan money. Life was very, very, very good.